you should either settle this now or close down your business. My name is Cesar Quintero, and I'm originally from Venezuela in South America. And at 24, I decided to get married, move to Miami, and start a company all at the same time. Because that's what we do when we're 24. There's no risk at that age. I started a food delivery company that we cooked and delivered meals to people in their office. Mind you, this is 2004, so it's way before Uber Eats and Facebook and all of that. So I had to go door to door and convince people it was convenient to have your meals delivered at the office. The company grew with the market, and with time, we reached $1 million by 2009. I had 27 employees, but I was running like a chicken without a head. I was answering phones, I was subbing in for people in the kitchen, I was delivering meals when a delivery didn't come, I was going insane. Not really a chicken without a head, it was probably a featherless chicken, a legless, featherless chicken. I was a dead chicken by this point because I was doing so many things to prove that my business could succeed. And then came 2012, and we got hit with a class action lawsuit. It was a baseless class action lawsuit, and we were targeted by a woman and an attorney, and we were the 5th company they had targeted. And I took it personally. I said, you know what? I'm gonna prove that I did nothing wrong. I want to fight this. I want to make sure that people know that I was in the right. And all my energy went into that. I mean, who sues a dead chicken, right? Like, I was going through this and going through all of the pain and all of the struggle and going through the process of proving that I was right, that I forgot about focusing in my business. And my business started plateauing and going down, and it was November, Black Friday of 2012. And I had $0 in my bank account, my personal account, and I had $0 in my business account. And I was in this room with an attorney, my hands were sweating, sitting in this table and saying, what did I do? And that's when I look up and my attorney tells me, Cesar, you should either settle this case now or close down the business. And that's when it hit me. What did I have to show for 7 years in business? What was I thinking? Like, my health had deteriorated, my business had deteriorated. Everything I was focused on was not working. Something needed to change. I realized that I was working harder than ever, and the business wasn't showing that. And I was jealous of all my friends that were going through corporate and earning these salaries that I couldn't even raise my salary. And the business was not allowing me to live the life I wanted to live. That's not why I started the business as an entrepreneur. So that day I said, something's going to change. I went through a why discovery process and understood that my purpose was more around my people. My why is to empower others so that they could live the life they want to live, a life by design. And what I realized going through that process is that this has been something that I've had all my life. But for some reason, as an entrepreneur, I was solely focused on the processes, on the systems, on the product, on proving that I was a good entrepreneur and a good business owner. And then I realized I wasn't focused on what I was really passionate about, which were the people. So I shifted that mindset. We started open management, we started EOS, we started different processes to help me empower my people to take ownership of their roles. And within 1 year, we doubled in profit. We grew 30% in sales, and we were able to pay the attorneys in full for everything that had happened. Up to that point, I had confused my leadership in me having to do everything and them not having to take ownership. This changed everything in my life. I eventually sold my business to my employees, and now I live my life doing what I love to do, which is helping others live the life they want to live. In the past 5 years, I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs uncover their purpose and start living a life by design. And what I realized is that my story is not unique. A lot of us go through the same things, the same stages, the same patterns. And that's what I want to share with you today. I want to share with you the Evolution Flywheel. And I know it's a game on the E-Myth, the Evolution, the Entrepreneurial Evolution, and Flywheel is a Jim Collins reference on how fast we can get through things, right? So it's the Evolution Flywheel, the way that entrepreneurs evolve and create a flywheel effect. So what I want to talk about today is the different stages of the Evolution Flywheel and how you get unstuck from each of these stages. But I know it looks sequential here, but as entrepreneurship, it's very messy. We all are building different stages at the same time. Like in the stages of grief, when you lose someone, it's not like you're sad and then mad and then argumentative. No, you're going through all these stages at the same time. And that's what happens in the Evolution Flywheel. As a true entrepreneur, it's not sequential. We go through all of these all at the same time. So the way we get unstuck is by going through the numbers and understanding what stage we're stuck in and aiming towards the bottom. And we'll talk about that now. But what I want to do now is I want to go through the cycle and understand what each stage is so that you can understand what stage you are in. And in order to do that, I'm going to ask you 3 questions so you can understand, while we're going through the cycle in the flywheel, understand where you are in each stage. So the first question is, if you did an inventory of your time, where are you spending most of your time now? Where are you spending most of your time now? The second question is, where do you feel you're stuck? Where do you feel that you can't move forward and that you've hit the ceiling that you can't move forward? Where do you feel right now that you're stuck in? Things that you're regretting or you're resenting, or things that are not working for you. And then the third question is, where do I want to spend most of my time? Where do I want to spend that piece of loving what I do and being great at what I do? Where do I want to spend my time? So the 3 questions: where am I spending most of my time now? Where do I feel stuck, resentful, or remorseful? And then, where do I want to spend my time? Now I'm going to go through this flywheel, and I'm going to go stage by stage and describe what it feels like to be in the stage and how to get unstuck from each stage. So while we're going through this, take into account what you wrote down and understand and write the number of what stage you're in so that we can determine later how to get unstuck and move forward. So I'm going to start first with Startup by Design. And then Startup by Design, what it feels like I'm trying to prove myself and prove the business constantly. I'm trying to prove different things on how to sell, who my market is, what my pricing is. I'm trying to determine that perfect market fit. Understand who is my core customer and how they value me, right? We're trying different sales strategies, different marketing strategies. We haven't really gone to that point of understanding how to get to that next level. And in order to get unstuck from this Startup by Design, you need to understand on 3 levels. First, you need to find your perfect market fit. Those customers that value you for who you are and what you do and how you do things, and they will go you to the moon and tell all their friends. Then you need to make sure that it's a scalable model, that it's something that you can scale, that it's not only dependent on you, but it's something that you can grow consistently and that the market wants it. And lastly, it's profitability. We need to prove at least a break-even point that this can be profitable in this model. And once we start evolving from this Startup by Design, now we start realizing that the business needs more and more from us and that we aren't enough, right? That a lot of times then we need to start into the Leader by Design and Leadership by Design. And what it feels like here, it feels like you're doing everything. Everybody's coming to you for everything, and you have no time in the day to do what you need to do right. So when you're in the Leader by Design stage, the 3 things that get you unstuck is understanding, first, becoming self-aware and understanding who you are as a person. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the things that really make you tick? What are those things that you should be focusing on? And not just because you started a business, it means that you have to be stuck in a stage in the business. So I was stuck in my finance seat for 10 years, and I'm a terrible cash manager and finance manager. I was not supposed to be there, but everybody kept telling me that as a business owner, I had to be on top of my finances, even if I was bad at it. I had to come to that realization of understand what my strengths were and what they weren't, and then be vulnerable enough. That's number 2, is be vulnerable enough to embrace what I can't do and understand that I need other people to do that for me. I needed to embrace the suck in order to be great at different things, as Francis Fire says. And then lastly, once I understand my strengths and I'm self-aware of who I am, and then I understand how I need to let go of certain things, then I need to start delegating and elevating the people around me so that they can take that ownership, and I can empower them so that they can do those things that I'm not good at. So that's how we evolve from Leadership by Design, is evolving into a Team by Design. And the team by design has two phases. The first phase is all around external team. It's understanding what it feels like if you're in this stage is that you feel alone, that nobody understands you, that all of your friends are in different stages, and that you're not sure why you're doing what you're doing. You're jealous of everybody out there, or you're kind of like looking at people and nobody understands you, and then you're carrying all this weight on your shoulders and it feels very tough. The way to get unstuck from this stage is to understand, number one, find peers like you. There's mastermind groups, there's entrepreneurs organization, young presidents organization. There's different organizations, even chambers of commerce and people that go through your same industry that understand what you're going through. The more you relate to peers, the average of those around you, right? We are the average of the 5 people around us. So we want to find those people that understand us and gets us so that we can evolve as true leaders and not feel alone. Then we got mentors and coaches, and the mentors are people that have already gone through what you've been through, and they typically do it voluntarily as a giving back, and they're people that can show you their journey. They're people that have been in your shoes and can help you make tough decisions that you need to make. And then coaches are usually paid for, and the coaches are those that help you be accountable, get you, show a mirror, have all the answers and the questions so that you can have all the answers, right? A good coach will always reflect and have the right questions so that you can come up with the right answers. So once you have your team around you and that you can support them, they support you on the outside, right? On the external piece, then we move into internal team. Right? Once we got that confidence and we understand where we are, then we move it into the internal team. We need a right-hand person, which we call the integrator in the EOS operating system. But this could be a right-hand person. It could be your second key executive. It could be your second in command, whatever it is that you call them. But somebody who really follows through the things that all your ideas and your crazy things and all the things that you want to implement. Most of the time, that's the number one thing most people get wrong when they own a business is they feel that they have to be implementing everything. I went to conferences, I read books, I wanted to implement in my company, but then after 2 weeks I would forget about it, and then people would go like, here's Caesar with another crazy idea. So what we need to get is a person who can really follow through on the things that we think about and we ideate so that they can really follow through and implement the things that need to get implemented in a consistent way. Then we also need a leadership team because now them alone can't carry the whole weight. So now they need a team that can own the different parts of the business, the sales, the marketing, the operations, the finance, the support pieces of the business needs to be owned by different people that are not you. And lastly, have a structure, a clear structure of accountability of who does what and who is accountable for what. Because at my point, I was basically accountable for every decision making in my company. Even when I had 27 employees, everybody had to come to me for answers. And that's not the way we need our support system and our structure to do. So if it's a sales question, go to the salesperson. If it's a marketing question, go to the marketing person. If it's a finance person, go to the finance person, right? We need to go and understand what that structure looks like and understand who is accountable for what. And once this starts happening, we start building a business by design. And what it feels like here is it feels like your business just doesn't work without you. That you have to be in the business day to day, grunting and working and giving orders and giving all the stuff that needs to happen because the team doesn't have a structure and accountability to get things right. So once you have the startup by design and you understand what your market fit is, and then you develop as a leader, you understand what you're good at and where you're not, then you have the right team, both externally and internally, to support you. Now it's time for you to let go. And in order to let go, it's all about a true operating system. So what I see most companies out there do, as a true visionary myself, I would read a book and I would try to bring something in, and then a conference and then different things. And what I would create is a Frankenstein operating system in my company. And what we need to choose in our business, it's a one operating system, is choose one. Choose the one that works best for you. And there's a ton out there. There's EOS, there's Scaling Up, there's MAP, there's OKRs, there's Great Game of Business. Any of these work. Just choose the one that works best for you, your vision, and your culture, and that you simplify the way that people operate within your business. What these operating systems help you do is it creates a shared common vision and accountability, which is number 2 and 3, which is if we don't have a shared vision, if we're all pulling in our own direction, and we'll never get there. Because you started the business because of an idea you had and somewhere you wanted to be, but then your partner had a different idea and the person you brought in has a different idea, so we're all tugging and pushing on different directions. And what we need to do is we need to all row on the same direction so that we get there faster. Jim Collins famously said, we need the right people in the right seats, but we also need to have them on the right bus. And everybody needs to be in that right bus on achieving that vision and being aligned with understanding where we're going. So that way every single person knows their part in that vision. And lastly, we need an accountability pulse. We need a rhythm of meeting and accountability where it's transparent and everybody is held accountable to every standard. We need metrics, we need meetings, we need rocks and priorities, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do now to get closer to that vision. If we don't do, we'll never get there. So the accountability pulse is all around understanding what I need to do today in order to get my weekly accountabilities, what I need to do in the week in order to get my quarterly accountabilities, what I need to do every quarter in order to get the year, what I need to do every year to get to 3, 5, 10, etc. Right? So we want to have a pulse of accountability where it creates transparency and clarity as to who is performing and who is not within the business. And once this happens, then you start evolving because now you can trust the people around you. There was a moment in my life that I only worked 1 day a week in my business because I got all the reports every morning. I could see it was transparent, it was accountable, where I could see if people were doing what they were supposed to be doing or not, and then I would go into the meetings and report on that and solve issues. Once we can let go of our business and work on the business, not in the business, that's when you go into life by design. And life by design is all about living your best life. In order to do that, you need to understand what your purpose is. And this is what took me 8 years to kind of figure out that I was not living my purpose. And understanding your true purpose and what you want to be when you grow up. How do you want to get out of the bed in the morning? What are the true passions that get you up and get you energized and doing what you want to do? You want to have that clarity. And that's been something you've had since you were a kid. It's not something you have right now. It's a pattern that you've had all your life. So my why, my purpose is to empower others so that they can live a life by design. So that's why now 2 of my businesses are very aligned to my purpose, where my first business was never aligned to my purpose. So that's why when you get to this stage, you can come to a place and understand what is it that I want to do when I grow up. And then the second part of this is understand what life stage are you in? Are you in a retirement stage? Are you just starting off? Is this just your first, your second, your third business? Do we need another business? Do we need assets? What capabilities do I want for my life? What are the things I want to achieve? And then based on this, then understand what my ideal life looks like and plan out that life. And lastly, we want to do the true concept of Ikigai. And I'm going to put a link right here on what that Ikigai concept is. But in reality, it's all about understanding your true purpose, doing what you're great at, and what people pay for you to do, and that's impactful to the world. So Ikigai is having these 4 components of finding something in your life that you can do, that you love to do, that you're great at, that you get compensated for, and that it's impactful for your community and the world. Once you understand this, then you move into the flywheel effect, right? So once I described all of the stages, look back at your questions and try to put the number of what stage you feel you're stuck in. Are you stuck in proving the concept, proving the business, proving the model? Are you stuck in everybody coming to you for everything, not knowing how to let go and how to give up control a little bit? Are you stuck in feeling alone or not having people to delegate to? Or are you feeling stuck in creating a business that works without you? Or are you stuck in not knowing what's next? So put the numbers right next to your questions, because remember, you can be stuck in more than one place at the same time. The important thing here is, if you're stuck in multiple places, now we need to look for the lowest number. If you're stuck in 2, 4, and 5, then we need to get unstuck on 2 first in order to move the stages and create that flywheel effect. And I'm talking about flywheel effect. The reason it's called a flywheel is Jim Collins' reference, where the first time you're going through this, it feels really hard. and it takes time. It took me 8 years to get to $1 million in my first business, but only less than 1 year in my next 2 businesses. Because the first time, it was all about learning, about making mistakes, about going through the process, tough. But then once you start having the process, having the team, having the knowledge, it starts getting easier and easier and easier. And that creates a flywheel effect, because now it goes faster and faster and faster, and your first business just becomes your practice round. So what stage are you stuck in, and how do you move forward into the next stage so you can start creating that flywheel effect? The most common question I get is, Caesar, how do I start living a life by design and creating that flywheel effect you talk about? And my answer is always the same. It's the same way you approach big projects in your business or in life. You have to break them down and take the first right step. So that's what I want to share with you today. I want to share with you the Life by Design assessment. And what this assessment is, it's a 5-question assessment. So it's a very short assessment. And what it does is, at the end of the assessment, it'll give you a resource page on where you're stuck and what are the steps and resources you need to get unstuck from that stage and evolve into the next stage. And what it means for you is that you'll evolve faster and faster, and you'll create that flywheel effect so that you can start living the life you want to live. So whether you just sold your business and you're not sure what the next step is, or you're stuck in your business and frustrated and not sure why you're doing what you're doing, or you're growing like crazy and you're not sure how to tackle all the things that come at once, this is where this assessment will help you understand where you are and what the next right steps are in order to evolve as an entrepreneur. I want you to picture a day when you walk into your office and everything you have to do is things you love to do and you're great at. I want you to picture a day when somebody calls you and says, hey, you don't need to come into work today. We got this. I want you to picture a day that your business gives you the life you want to live and the whole reason you started the business. I'm going to leave you with this. 6 years after that boardroom encounter with the attorney, I was in that same boardroom, in that same seat, looking him in the eyes. My hands were still sweaty. But instead of thinking about closing down my business, I was selling my business to my employees, and at the same time I was registering trademarks in my 2 new businesses. You know, where it took me 7 years to get to $1 million in my first business, it took me less than 1 year to get to $1 million in my next 2 businesses. That was a flywheel in effect. Instead of being jealous of my friends and their corporate lives, I was making 10 times more money than I was ever in my life. And instead of resenting my business for not allowing me to live the life I want to live, I was doing what I love with the people I love and creating a deep impact in the community I live in. I was living the life I wanted to live, my life by design. And that's what I want for you. I want you to live your life by design.